This is one in a series of oral histories sponsored by the Smoky Valley Historical Association. I am Elston Floor, a member of the faculty in the Department of English Theater and Speech at Bethany College, a member of the board of the Historical Association, and director of its oral history project. Today, November 3rd, 1985, we welcome Rosalie Hershey to my left, who resides at 440 East Lincoln in Lindsborg. Rosalie's paternal grandparents were the Johannes Swensons, and she is a descendant of Nils Lindblades on her mother's side. Both her father Janne and her uncle John Sanfrid were early craftsmen in Lindsborg. We appreciate very much Rosalie's willingness to speak of them, as well as her own early life in Lindsborg. She will be interviewed by Dr. Dena Beeghly, who is Director of Developmental Education at Bethany College. Dena.
Rosalie, I'm delighted to have this opportunity for us to meet this afternoon. I know that you have just returned about a month ago from a trip to Sweden.
Yes.
And I have been told that the Swedish have a different way when they talk about aunts and uncles. Would you explain a little bit about that to us?
Well, when you speak of your father's mother, you say farmor, and your father's father is farmor. Your aunts on your father's side is foster, and the uncles farbror. On your mother's side, the grandmother is mormor, and the grandfather is morfar. The aunts are moster, and the uncles are morbror.
I see.
And I think that's quite a nice way of distinguishing between the grandparents.
I think that's true. Now, if we're going to speak about your father's father, we would speak about your farfar.
Farfar Svensson.
Okay, and grandmother would be farmor.
Farmor.
Great. Well, shall we do that?
Okay.
Please tell me about where they were born and their children.
Well, my Farfar Svensson was born on July 25th, 1838, in Todenend, Skattegården, in Västergötland, Sweden. And he died in Ljung in 1918. And he was known as Tjäder, which is probably a soldier's name. He married my grandmother on December 28th, 1866. Or more, I should say.
And they had 4 sons.
4 sons and 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
5, well, the sons came to America, and 1 sister came to America. The 1 sister stayed in Sweden. She was over here for a visit one time, but she went back.
Should we show? We have a picture. And so this is your father?
That's my father. And the next one is farbror Johan. Yes. Och farbror Martin. Och faster Alida. Och faster Frida.
Neat. Well, they're a handsome family, and this gentleman is...
Tenor John.
And we'll talk about him a little later.
Yes.
Super. Now, that was your father's side of the family. Your mother's side of the family, and when we talk about your grandmother, mormor?
All right. Farmor was Stina Greta Jonsdotter, and she was born March 17th, 1844 in Ljung, and she died in Ljung in 1900. Then my morfar, Nils Gustav Danielsson. However, when they came to America, they changed their name to Lindblade.
Okay, so they became the Lindblades.
A lot of people did change their name when they came over here.
Now, was that to sound more American?
Well, I really don't know why they changed it, but there were a lot of people that did change their names.
Now, three of their children, your
Yes.
mother included,
Yes.
were born in Sweden.
Yes, in Alsida,
Okay.
and that's in Småland.
Oh, okay. Now, why do you suppose your grandparents came to this country?
Well, at that time, the times were hard over there. There was not enough work for everyone, and I guess they just decided to try for something better.
And do you think they found something better?
I think they did.
I would think so, too. And we have a picture of Mother's family. And here we have parents.
Mormor and morfar.
Oh, sorry. And mother.
That's my mother.
And now the sisters.
That's Helga, Elma, and Selma, and John, Elmer, Carl, and Alfred. Carl and John were in World War I.
And did they all live and stay in the Lindsborg area?
No, the one sister, this one right here, lived in Missouri.
Oh.
Otherwise, the rest of them were here.
Wow, your family has been here for a long time.
Yes, they have. They came over in 1886. And my dad came over in 1888.
Now, was he about 18 when he came over?
Well, yes, 18 or 19.
And did his brothers come with him? Did they come as a whole group?
No, they didn't. Tenor John came first. And then from what I understand, he worked out here on a farm in New Gotland for Swan Burke. And then he made enough money so he would send some back for the next one to come. Then the next one came over, and then they worked and sent money for someone else to come.
Okay, and so all the brothers eventually came to
Yes,
America
they did.
and
Yes.
settled in this area.
Well, the one ended up in Albuquerque, Martin, on account of his health. He had to find a different climate.
Okay, so most of them stayed here, and Albert moved to Albuquerque.
Martin
Moved
yes.
to Albuquerque.
Yes.
I'm getting my names confused here. Can you tell us something about what life was like for your mother here in Lindsborg?
Well, I think she did housework around, and I think she did some in Excelsior Springs, too. She spent a lot of time there. And she worked in broomcorn harvest. Now, I thought she worked right out there in the fields in the broomcorn harvest, but I was speaking with Henry Sobey at Bethany Home, and he said that my mother did the cooking.
Ah, okay. Now, would you, since I don't know about broomcorn harvest, and I'm new to Lindsborg, would you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know too much about it either, except that they raised a lot of broomcorn around here, and towards the fall, I imagine, they harvested this. And there was a broom factory here in town. And they probably sold the broomcorn to this broom factory and made brooms and whisk brooms and so on out of it.
Oh, wow. That's something we don't see very much of today, do we? You go to the Kmart for your broom.
Yes, that's right.
Well, your mother married your father.
Yes.
And he was a blacksmith,
Yes.
and also involved in wagon making.
Wagon maker, yes.
And did you visit him in the shop? Can you tell us
Oh, yes. Yes, I did.
what went on?
Well, in the summertime, it was a lot of sharpening plowshares for the farmers. In those days, they sharpened them. Now I understand they just go buy new ones when they can't use them any longer. And all kinds of work. He would also make wagons for farmers and sharpen knives, sickles for the farmers' mowing machines, shoeing horses.
Oh, that's right. That would go along, wouldn't it? Instead of a tune-up, you would get your horses shoed. Well, and we have some very interesting pictures of the wagon factory. Let's see if we can find them. This is a painting that shows your father's wagon factory. And that, would you tell us the story about the anvil? Because I just think that's tremendous.
Early on the morning of the 4th of July, he would go down to the shop and get these 2 anvils out, and he would put blasting powder on the one, and then he would place the other one on top of it, and he would have a long fuse, and he would light that, and it would go off with a big bang. And I guess it just rocked the whole town, and that was the sign that 4th of July had begun.
So it really began with a bang in Lindsborg, didn't it? I love, if you can see in the picture, it looks to me as though he's holding one hand over his ear. And I thought that was pretty neat. This is wonderful. But we also have some pictures of the interior, don't we? And those were very... we've got this one,
that small one,
and a small one. And those are just fascinating to look at. You can just see all the different materials used in the wagon making. Really neat. Well, now your father was a wagon maker and a blacksmith, and your uncle was, I assume it's a nickname, Tinner John.
Yes. He had a tin shop, and it's over there where the apothec is now.
What exactly would one do in a tin shop? Why would I go to Tinner John's tin shop?
Well, if you had a pudding pan that had a leak in it, you know, one of these granite pudding pans, he would solder it so it didn't leak anymore. And then you would come in to pick it up, and you'd say, well, how much do I owe you? And he'd kind of tilt his head a little bit. Well, I should have 10 cents. Or I should have 15 cents, depending on the size of the hole, I guess.
That's so funny to be pricing by size of hole. So he did a lot of repair work.
Yes, and he would put copper bottoms in old wash boilers, and he would repair tubs, and put new screen in milk strainers for the farmers, and he would put up guttering around on the houses here in town. That was another thing that my dad and Alfred and Oscar Holmberg did too. They built fire escapes.
Did they really?
They built them in sections, and from what I could understand, they did not have any blueprints or anything to go by. But it was for Bethany College and Lanehart Hall and Brunswick Hotel. Old Main, Calmer Hall, and Lanehart Hall on the Bethany College campus, and then for the Brunswick Hotel. And they also helped build M.T. Bloomgren's ice plant, and that was on the site where the co-op is now.
Oh, okay, yes. Now, what would an ice plant be?
They make ice.
How do you make ice for such?
Well, they have a big brine tank, they call it, and then they have metal cans that are probably about this wide and about this long, and probably about 48 inches deep. And they sink these cans in the brine and fill them with water, and then they, after so long a time, well, you have ice in those cans. And
then you sell it. Now, is this the time of the ice man and the wagon who would go door to door?
And Trains had an ice plant. The Trains Produce that I worked for also had an ice plant. And they sold ice. They had ice routes here in town and also out in the country. They had dealers over in Roxbury and Marquette and gypsum, I believe.
It's amazing to think of ice as a big business, isn't it?
It was in those days.
I bet it was. Wow, everyone needed it.
Yes.
Now, you worked for Train's Produce, and
Yes.
when we first talked, I said to you, oh, vegetables, fruits, but that's not right, is it?
No, they bought eggs and cream and poultry, and they sold feed, and they had a locker plant. And then they put in an ice plant about a year after I started working for them. And that was located on the corner there where Walden Peterson has his dental office.
And was it, again, a big business in this
Yes,
town?
yes, it was.
And were the Trains a family?
Yes.
Okay.
There was Train Brothers also. They had a furniture store. But this was Jacob Train and his son Franz that had this produce. And they also had, Franz was agent for Western Transit lines that hauled freight, and Santa Fe, and Central News Express.
Wow, that was a big business. And what did you do for Train Brothers?
No, it wasn't Train Brothers.
Oh, I'm
it was
sorry.
Train's Produce.
Train's Produce.
I was bookkeeper.
And how long did you do that?
Well, I started in June in 1936, and I kept working for them until in 1962, with the exception of about a year and a half in there when I was working in Salina. But it went from Train's Produce to a construction company. He did oil field work and that sort of stuff. He bought a small bulldozer to begin with, and then it just gradually got bigger.
Okay.
So they, for a while, there was a fellow by the name of Roth that had the produce, and then they sold it to Whitey Brothers, Chet and Alan Whitey, and they operated them for a number of years. Now, I don't know just when it was that they quit.
Mm-hmm. But it's not too far back. You
No,
worked
it
till
isn't.
1960.
Well, I worked until 1962, but that was with the construction company, and that was located out on Old 81, where Willard Kading has his construction company now.
Right. I know where that is.
Yeah.
Now, you have also been to Sweden
Yes.
recently, but before also. Can you tell us a little bit about your trips?
Well, I was over there a year ago in August. I had never been there before. I met a friend of mine, Doris Stump. She's a local girl, incidentally. She had been on another tour, and I met her in Copenhagen. And we picked up our car, and then we took off to see Sweden.
Oh, so the two of you.
But I had been to the church down here, to Bethany Church, before, well, it was before, several years before I left, to find out where my father came from in Sweden, what church, because you almost have to know that in order to find them. So I found out that it was Fudinga, so that was where we headed. And we got there, and we went into the church and looked around and took a bunch of pictures in there. Then we went out into the cemetery, and the cemeteries in Sweden are generally right around the church. And we looked all over for my aunt and uncle's and my grandparents' graves. We couldn't find anything. So we were about ready to leave, and there was a car that drove up to the house next to the church. And I told Doris, I said, I'm going over and talk to him. He was an older fellow, and I thought, well, he might remember my aunt. His name was Ragnar Fahlgren. Well, he didn't remember her at all, but nevertheless, he got on the telephone and started calling around to see if he could find someone that did know her. Well, then, he said, well, we're going out to Bremsegård, and that was the gourd where my father was born. There was couple fellows living there then. Well, they still live there as far as that goes. Sven Olaf and Lars Johansson. So we went out there and talked to them for a little bit, and they made some telephone calls. And then they said, well, they're home now, so we'll go. We took off in 2 cars, and we went first to the Jung Church, and that was where my grandparents and my aunt and uncle were buried. And they seemed to know just exactly where the graves were, so that was fine. And then they took us over to see a lady, Gunhild Persson, and she was also a distant cousin of my dad's. We visited with her for a while. Then we went to see David Persson, and he showed us where my pardon me, grandparents' house had stood, but it had been torn down in 1972. Then we went over to Rune and Stina Jonsson, and that was the people then that we were really looking for. And of course we were welcome there, and we hadn't much more than gotten there until we had juice and cookies, and then while we were having that, well, then she was preparing coffee, and while we were having our coffee and visiting, while she was busy preparing supper.
Oh.
And nothing else would do, but we stayed overnight. So we stayed there for 2 days, and we really enjoyed ourselves, and then we were on our way to see other parts of Sweden and visit some of Doris's folks. It was very nice.
What a terrific experience.
It was. To me, it was just like fairy tale.
Well, to
find these people
and where your grandparents' house had been, and the churches, and then you went back this fall.
I went back in the middle part of September, and I just went to Kvänum then, the town where they lived, and got acquainted with them and visited and had a very nice time.
Oh, that's exciting. That's just really neat. Well, you back in the United States now, do you have any recollections from childhood or stories from childhood that you would like to share with us?
Well, I remember when my Uncle Charlie, he was an undertaker for Train Brothers.
Boy, the Train Brothers were in every business in town. I'm fascinated by the Train Brothers.
And I remember he gave me a little rocking chair at one time. And he also gave me my first bicycle. But in those days, bicycles didn't have brakes on them.
Oh, no. How did you stop them?
Well, you didn't. You kind of slowed down, and then you dragged your feet on the ground to stop.
Oh.
But there was a corner west of where I lived, and it went downhill to the corner. Then you rounded the corner, and then you went uphill again. And every time I went around that corner, I fell down.
Oh, I can imagine.
But I finally learned how to ride, and I still ride now and then.
Do you? This is a wonderful town for bicycle riding.
Yes, it is. Well, it was in Sweden, too. A lot of people in Sweden ride bicycles.
And did you ride when you were on your trip? Did you?
I rode some, yes, right there in town, yeah.
Oh, neat.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's see.
Did your mother ever talk about what it was like for a young woman during her time? I know you said that she...
I really don't remember too much because she died when I was 10.
And then did the older children in your family help raise the family?
I was an only child.
You were an only... Mm-hmm. That's right, I'd forgotten that. Mm-hmm. And did your father then bring you up?
Well, I stayed out with my mormor and morfar.
Oh, okay.
For a while. And I did go to school here in town, and I stayed with different families. And then when I started my junior year in high school, then I started keeping house for my dad. And my uncle was living there then at the time, too.
Now, which uncle was that?
That was Tinner John was living
Tinner
with.
John.
Yes.
Okay. So he was living, and you kept house for them.
Mm-hmm. And my aunt, my mother's sister, Alma, married, and Alfred married, and then my mother. The rest of them did not marry. Alfred had 4 children. One boy lives in Wichita, Leroy, and then there are triplets. The girl lives in Topeka. She married Clarence Berg. And the 2 boys, or the men, I should say, are at the Riverview Estates home in Marquette. The one of them married and has a son, Charles, and he's in Salina. Leroy has a daughter, and Ione has a daughter.
That must have been very unusual to have triplets at that time. I mean, it's unusual today, but at that time.
And then all 3 of them lived. Well,
that's even more remarkable, isn't it? Wow, well, you have just a fascinating family and family history, and we have just really enjoyed hearing your family's story this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Well, I have enjoyed it too, and thank you.
I want to add our thanks to Rosalie, that is on behalf of the Historical Association, and also to you, Dena. I would like to ask one more question. Were your grandparents farmers? Did they live on a farm?
Yes. They lived out southeast of Lindsborg. It was about 6 miles out.
6 miles out.
Southeast.
Do you happen to know who might be living there now?
I think the farm belongs to a man by the name of Coons.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. I've heard that name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again for being with us.
Thank you so much.